The night shift began, as always, with the smell of antiseptic and the muffled hum of the hospital, like the breath of a huge living creature. Outside the windows, the evening fog was slowly melting, and inside, under the cold light of the lamps, life flowed with its measured, tired rhythm. Alina walked through the automatic doors, put on a bees, straightened her neatly gathered hair, and headed for the post. For others, it was just another night nurse, calm, polite, a little silent. Little did anyone know that underneath that white uniform was the past of an army ranger who had undergone training that most people had only seen in the movies. She received duty on the second floor, a surgical department, and several wards for postoperative patients. Alina methodically checked the prescription, recorded the indicators, changed droppers, calmed patients who could not sleep. Somewhere someone moaned softly in pain, somewhere a gurney creaked, and somewhere in the ward in front of the TV the night news was muttering. Everything was familiar, predictable, almost lethal. In room 214 lay a middle-aged man with a pale face and a damp killing. He was spinning restlessly, knocking down the sheet, whispering that the pain was returning. Alina checked the drip, replaced the bottle, and adjusted the pillow. "You need to try to sleep. The painkiller will start working in a few minutes," she said quietly. He nodded as if a child were clutching at it, to the edge of the blanket, trying to stay still. When Alina went out into the corridor, it was as if something had changed in the air. There was no sound of alarm, no siren, no noise. Just an inner feeling that did not let her down for many years of tension. She stopped and listened. Somewhere below, the door slammed. Too harsh. Then there was a muffled, interrupted cry. Alina's heart did not speed up, her breathing did not fail, but her whole body instantly went into a state of full readiness, as once on missions. She put the tablet on the windowsill and walked towards the stairs. Two interns stood at the elevators, pale as chalk. "There's a man there," exhaled alone with a pistol. He shouts, demands a doctor. Alina nodded curtly, as if it was a non-working device or a glitch in the schedule. "Where exactly?" "At the emergency room." She did not call the guards and did not raise the alarm. A map of the building quickly lined up in my head, possible paths, angles, shelters. Everything happened calmly, almost automatically. She went down the stairs, trying not to make any noise. Already on the way, I heard a harsh, broken, panic-filled voice. In the emergency room, people stood as if frozen. A man in his 30s held the administrator at gunpoint. His hands were trembling, his eyes were red, his breath was short. Alina came around the corner as if she had just come to change a colleague. "Are you uncomfortable standing like that?" she said in an even voice. "You'll get tired faster." The man turned sharply. The pistol jerked in her direction. "Back. I am a nurse. I can help. I don't need help. I need a doctor. They're lying to me." She took half a step forward. He waved his weapon nervously. And in that split second, Alina saw everything, his uncertain stance, the wrong angle. A trembling finger on the trigger, loss of control over breathing. Dozens of trainings, hundreds of hours of training surfaced in my memory. "Look at me," she said softly. "Breathe. You're safe." He blinked. In the next second, her movement was swift and precise. The hand knocked the barrel to the side. The second hit the wrist. The pistol fell, sliding into the floor. Alina turned the man around, fixed his hand behind his back, pressed him against the wall, without causing unnecessary pain, but leaving not the slightest chance of resistance. "That's it. It's over. Lie down." In a few moments, he was already lying on the floor, immobilized, breathing heavily and not understanding what had happened. There was silence in the waiting room, as if someone had turned off the sound. Only Alina's heart beat smoothly and calmly, like on a regular night shift. Alina slowly returned to her post, as if nothing unusual had happened. The corridors of the night hospital were again shrouded in the usual silence. Only occasionally the quiet hum of devices and the knocking of the footsteps of random visitors were heard. The medical staff was still shocked by what had happened, pretended to work, and the patients quietly tossed and turned in the wards, not suspecting the drama that had played out just a few meters away. Alina walked past Ward 214, checked the indicators. She made sure that the drip was working and went out into the corridor again. It seemed that no one noticed her calmness, confidence in every movement, a quiet glint in her eyes, which betrayed experience and training. A little later, a policeman appeared in the corridor, young, nervous, with a walkie-talkie, constantly glancing at the screen. He approached Alina as if looking for support and quietly asked, "Did you handle it yourself?" "Yes, it's over." "The man is immobilized. The police are on their way." "But you are incredible." The policeman hesitated, struggling to find words. "We are used to the fact that no one can act so cruelly." Alina smiled calmly. She was already used to such looks. Those who have not seen her training will never believe that this quiet night nurse is able to neutralize an armed criminal in an instant. Her past remained hidden, like a secret that she kept for the peace of mind of those around her. At this time, the hospital administration, doctors, and senior medical staff began to flock to the corridor. Everyone looked at her with surprise and a mixture of respect and disbelief. The head doctor came closer, frowning. "Alina, tell us how you could?" "I just knew how to act in a critical situation," she answered evenly. All the training and experience came in handy, but her gaze was soft and calm. No one guessed that behind these words was an army ranger who had undergone combat training, who dozens of times faced danger head-on and learned to keep a cool head when there was panic and chaos around. Meanwhile, the police drove up to the hospital. Several officers quickly went inside and took control of the criminal. He was already calmed down and did not resist. The hospital staff, who had been trembling with fear, began to slowly return to their duties, but all eyes secretly followed Alina. It seemed that everyone was trying to understand who she was and how she was able to cope with such a person alone. After the situation was finally resolved, Alina returned to her normal duties. She checked the patient's indicators, changed bandages, and adjusted IVs. Everything was as if nothing had happened. But inwardly, she felt the heaviness of tension, the release of adrenaline, which did not let go for a long time. Every movement, every word spoken by the patient, now seemed more meaningful to her than ever. The interns, who had seen her actions, began to whisper among themselves, discussing how this was possible. One of them, trembling slightly, said, She's not just a nurse." "What do you mean?" asked another intern. "I don't know, just look at her. These movements are calm. It's like it's trained real." Alina heard this, but did not show the slightest surprise. She knew that her past remained a mystery, and it would be better this way. If people knew who she really was, perhaps the hospital would have turned instead of sensation and curiosity, and they into a safe space for patients. At the end of the night shift, Alina went out into the yard, took a deep breath of the cold night air, and looked back at the building. That's it. Past, life went on, and she was just a night nurse again. The same quiet, calm, confident woman, who is ready to help everyone who needs it. But deep down, she knew that at any moment, if necessary, she could become who she was before. A cold-blooded, trained fighter who will never miss or back down in the face of danger. It was this skill, calmness, and experience that made her more than just a nurse. But no one will know about it until the world faces a real threat where every step and every decision will matter for the lives of others. And while the night went on as usual, Alina continued to go around the wards, checking on patients as if nothing had happened. But her eyes, full of inner control and determination, betrayed a readiness for any surprises she might bring. Next shift. Alina walked through the corridors again, now with a slight feeling of fatigue, but with full concentration. The night was gradually approaching its peak. Only patients in need of constant care and several doctors working on urgent cases. Even though the armed incident was over, the tension in the air still felt like an invisible vibration. The employees whispered quietly among themselves, discussing what had happened, but no one dared to interrupt Alina, her. Calmness and confidence seemed to create an invisible border of safety around her. She stopped at one of the wards, where an elderly woman was lying after a complex operation. The patient's heart was beating with difficulty, the indicators fluctuated, and Alina knew that she would have to be as attentive as possible. She checked the monitors, replaced the syringe with the medicine, adjusted the pillow, and said quietly, "It's okay, try to relax. I'm near." The woman nodded slightly, closed her eyes, and began to breathe calmly again. Alina went out into the corridor, but her attention was attracted by the noise at the main entrance. Several employees of the service were standing there, security and the police, discussing further actions. One of the guards approached her cautiously and respectfully. We want you to share how you were able to deal with it so quickly. This is unusual for a nurse." Alina stopped for a moment, looked at him, and smiled quietly. "It's simple. Sometimes training and experience come to the rescue in the most unexpected situations." She didn't reveal the details of her training because she knew it would sound implausible to most people. Her past remained a mystery that protected not only herself, but also her patients, creating the illusion of an ordinary night shift. Meanwhile, the police took the criminal away, neutralized and stunned. He was still in shock. Not understanding how quiet it would seem, the nurse was able to take full control over him. In the corridor, there were several employees who watched Alina with respect and slight fear. She walked among them calmly, checking patients, smiling, and correcting the appointment as if nothing had happened. The interns who saw her actions continued to discuss what had happened. One of them could not resist and said quietly, "She seems to be from another life. A real fighter." Alina heard the words, but did not react. Her eyes remained calm. His gaze was focused on the patients. She knew that the most important thing now was the safety of people and the accuracy of work. The shift continued. Around midnight, the hospital received an emergency call. A patient with a heart attack requiring immediate intervention. Alina instantly joined the process, helping the doctors, adjusting the devices and checking the indicators. Her every movement was precise, confident, with complete concentration. None of those present could guess that she had already faced real danger 3 times and knew how to maintain control in the most critical situations. After the patient was stabilized, Alina walked down the corridor again, checking on the remaining patients. Her footsteps were quiet, almost imperceptible, but every movement betrayed inner strength and discipline. She knew her past shouldn't interfere with her current work, but it could come in handy at any time. This thought gave her confidence and calmness, made her ready for any eventuality. In the morning, the atmosphere in the hospital gradually returned to its usual routine. The staff was still discussing the night, quietly passing on the details of what had happened. But Alina continued to work, checking indicators, changing bandages, giving medications, and caring for patients as if the armed incident was just a shadow of the night, which disappeared with the first light. Her eyes full of internal control, sometimes lingering on the monitors, checking the indicators, sometimes on colleagues, on their fear, respect, and quiet admiration. When the shift was coming to an end, Alina went out into the fresh air. The morning painted the sky in soft shades of pink and blue. She took a deep breath and allowed herself to relax for a moment. Behind me was a night full of tension, drama, and adrenaline. Inside, the same Alina remained, calm, confident, and ready for any threat. But to the world, she was just a night nurse, quiet and dedicated. No one knew that there was real power behind this white uniform. Composure and experience that can save lives at the most unexpected moment. And while the hospital was gradually waking up for a new day, Alina walked along the empty corridor, sure that at any moment, she will be able to become what she was before, a fighter who will never miss or succumb to danger. But today, she remained a quiet, inconspicuous night nurse who did everything for the safety and health of those in her care.